What up, Rob?
What's going on, Ed? How are you
Nice.
doing?
Good, man. So I'm super excited that you're here today. I am here with my friend, Robb Olivieri. He is just an absolute crusher in the downtown space. I got to give you that first because
Sure.
love how much you have done for the downtown area, and guys like me look up to guys like you because of all the cool things that you've done and how you've really impacted the community. But I wanted to bring you on today because you are running for a particular spot, and I wanted to just talk to you a little bit about it and grill you and see what your thoughts are.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Thank you so much. I mean, it's always a blast getting to chat with you. Now we just now we get to hit record.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we hit record though, right? Yes. Okay, cool. Look, we're off and running.
Yeah.
Look at this. Well, cool, man. So take me back. Okay, so you and I met through what was that thing that we did?
This was a few years ago. The police chief at the time, Chief Sullivan, he was like the interim. He had set up this, I think it was like a Blue Business Council. It was a bunch of like either business or community alliances. He wanted to bring folks together. It was a really good idea.
Yes.
I don't know if it was necessarily executed the best way, but certainly brought a lot of good folks together, and there was some good ideas flowing.
For sure.
And that's obviously how we met and just hit it off from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've done a ton on Melrose, right?
Yeah, so Melrose. So I live up in the Melrose area, so roughly 7th Ave in between Indian School and Camelback.
Okay.
So I've been the president of the Melrose Community Alliance the last almost 5 years. And I mean, you know how it is working in the community. I mean, you're dealing with all the businesses around and primarily small businesses. You've got all the residents, the neighborhoods themselves, and you're interfacing with the city on a ton of things. And that's from potholes to permitting to zoning, development, crime related stuff, put on events, fundraising, all that sorts of stuff. So it's you certainly do get to interact with a ton of different people, and at its core, it's problem solving.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's a lot of my day job at ASU. At our lab, that's what we focus on. It's a different sort of problems, and sometimes a different set of solutions. But at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Okay. No, that makes sense. And I'm still hungry. So you've been doing it 4 or 5 years. You've been president. Okay. So as president, how much do you feel like you're learning now versus early on? Like in year one, what did year one look like compared to year 5?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I was very fortunate to not only have a really good team around me, but like a phenomenal predecessor who like really, she was able to show me the ropes, and she was a good model to kind of follow.
Okay.
And really just build upon what she was working on. So in that regard, that was really good, but it's a constant learning curve. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of personalities, a lot of different people, and I mean, just a lot of different interactions. So, I mean, if you take yourself back, it's like out of COVID. So it was like, how do you support the small businesses in that local ecosystem?
Right.
So that was a big, I mean, not just this was, I mean, I'm sure you dealt with it here on Miracle Mile and obviously throughout the city, and I mean, throughout everywhere.
Right.
They were trying to figure that out, make sure that you could kind of stabilize where people were. And this was stuff like that. You're dealing with again, I mean, there's a lot of like personality stuff where it's like, oh, this person has maybe an issue, and maybe that's overstated, but sometimes the inner relationships do play a role.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it was just probably the biggest learning curve was navigating the city and knowing who to call or what number or what department, or building those relationships.
Yes.
And again, I think at the end of the day, that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned is the importance of building those relationships.
Okay.
And it's one thing to know who to call. It's another thing to be able to build the rapport with those folks. And I mean, that is probably the biggest learning curve, I would say, at least from my experience. But once you do, I mean, then you really start to get a little bit more direction in terms of where to go to for what, or what potential solutions are out there, or at the end of the day, how do you help more people? Like, how can you point them in the right direction?
That's super helpful. Okay, so let's say somebody is starting their community group or an organization that they want to be able to, let's call it, support their street. And they're just getting started. who are the people that they need to be talking to, or who are these relationships that you're talking about that you think are the most impactful right out of the gates?
Yeah, I mean, I think out of the gate, I mean, the city of Phoenix and their neighborhood services department,
Okay.
they kind of split it up roughly into kind of districts, but there's a little bit of overlap. But they've got neighborhood specialists, what they call it, which is basically like your point person.
Okay.
So I mean, that would probably be your first line of defense, just as a person who's in there, and their job is to help neighborhood community groups,
Yes.
be able to navigate this stuff.
And they'll come to the community and they'll plug in and they'll
Absolutely.
do. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And again, we've been very fortunate to have some really great ones over the years. And that certainly helps because you kind of have a built-in inroad to do things. Again, whether it's putting an event on and you need to get a road closure because you're trying to raise money for a cause, or whatever that process is. And ultimately, almost everyone that's involved within their neighborhood, their community, whatever their organization is, it's volunteer.
Yeah.
Like no one's getting paid for this. It's all, hey, we care about our community, we care about the people around us, and we want to build that out. And so I mean, we should make that as easy as possible for folks to be able to do that.
For sure. And you find the opposite. I know that in certain situations, it almost seems like, or I should say for you, how often is it, even with Melrose being as established as it is, how often is it that people will come to you and expect it, like not realize that you're doing this as a volunteer?
I don't know. I mean, there probably are people that think that this is my job. Because I do. I mean, obviously put a lot of effort into it, and again, it's not just me. I mean, there's a lot of folks that do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's challenging. Because you've got to balance and tax switch between that and whatever you. I mean, for me, it's. I mean, I've got a job, but most other people have other jobs, families, other things to worry about. So
Yeah.
I mean, burnout's a real thing for sure.
Yes.
I mean, I feel good. I mean, I'm very passionate about it, but totally understand how people could do this for a few years, even with the best intentions, to be a little burnt out at times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Having a solid team around you, I'm sure is.
Yeah. Well, it's just like anything in life. I mean, I mean, whether it's building a business, having any sort of a project or initiative, everything's a team sport. There are very few things in this world that are truly solo endeavors. And I think it's all about the people around you and who you can cultivate, who you can inspire, who you can empower, really more than anything, to help you in whatever your mission or vision is, and vice versa. I mean, you also want it to be a benefit to them too. They're not just serving you. I mean, we're all out there serving each other.
For sure. Nice. Wise words, dude. The relationship side of things, plugging people into, I think that's spot on. I love that you said that. That's great.
Well, and I think this about a year ago, and sorry to go off on a bit of a tangent, but
Sure.
but I don't want to lose this thought. We did a screening for this documentary. So it's called Join or Die. Have you ever heard of Robert Putnam or Bowling Alone?
No.
So it's super fascinating. It probably came out about 25 years ago.
Okay.
And he was a Harvard psychologist, sociologist, somebody who studied people.
Okay.
Don't want to undermine his work, but he looked at basically groups, organizations, and why they were declining. So where the title of the book that came out 30 years ago, Bowling Alone, came from was he observed that in the late 90s, there was roughly the same amount of people bowling as there were in 1950, whatever, but the amount of people bowling in leagues with other people had plummeted. And he was able to observe that with Rotary Club, with all these other like kind of organizations. Like, well, why is this going down?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of different factors in it, and we don't need to necessarily unpack that. Obviously, technology was a big thing, hyper individualization on a bunch of different facets. And it's something that has roughly continued.
Okay.
And about probably a year or two ago, he came out with this documentary that was based off of that work, and then obviously updated it. And the term join or die is basically like, you should be a joiner. You should join your clubs, your local neighborhood group, a gardening club, whatever it is. It's, I mean, I don't care what you do, just as long as you're around people.
Yes.
And I mean, you always hear all this stuff about loneliness epidemic and all of this stuff. And I think more than anything, people are yearning for that connection, human to human. And his argument within the documentary, and this underlines with all his work, is that in order to do the big things in society, you need to start from the bottom up. So like one of the examples that he gives was like Rosa Parks was like, obviously that was a pivotal moment in civil rights, and that really did like change everything. But he went through some of the background, and it turns out that she was the like head recording secretary of the Atlanta NAACP chapter. And this was something that they had organized and planned because she was the right person for the job. But if that wouldn't have happened, and that organization and those people been involved in that community for so long, it may not have happened, or may not have happened that way. So by doing that and setting those foundations, you're able to do the bigger things. And he gives a bunch of different examples. But what I was getting to with that was, yes, we all need to be joiners. But one of the things that when we did this event, we did it at Changing Hands, shout out, great bookstore. And one of the gentlemen there was like, because a lot of people that were in the room, there's probably about 100 of us. Most of it's community leaders, business leaders, people that come to these things normally, which is great. You need those, but we all need to be inviters too. We need to be able to find someone to be like, hey, you should come to this. Because sometimes that's what it takes.
That's great. It's a great point.
It takes a little push.
Yeah. Who are you going to bring to this?
Yeah. I think that's important because oftentimes it's, and I'm sure you're this way. I mean, you're very eager to raise your hand and jump in and be like, all right, I'll do it. And it's easier said than done to get people to come with you. But I think that is really a true mark. If you're able to be like, hey, come join me in that. Like, I need your energy. I need your talent. I need your vision. We need you on this. Sometimes that's the push to get people involved. And I think it takes time to build community and to build really anything. And I think that's the tough thing, because we're in a time and place where patience can be in short supply. But I mean, I'm a firm believer that people severely overestimate what they could accomplish in 1 year and underestimate what they could do in 10. I mean, compounding effects are real. And it's
1 versus 10. Okay.
Yeah.
So 1, they overestimate what they can do in 1. They underestimate what they can do in 10.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it's like you get into a lot of these things. You're like, oh, I want to do this, that.
Yeah.
And then, which is great. You need that in initial motivation to like jump into it. But oftentimes there's a lot more in the minutia that you've got to deal with.
They don't have the plan established.
Yeah.
So I feel like definitely can embrace that, especially in different elements of my life, including like the mile, right?
Oh yeah.
Thinking, okay, this is what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. I don't think that the plan has been laid out as well as it could have been in those times when it seemed. Now, if we lock the plan in place and we say, this is what it is, so we're retooling everything here this month.
Oh,
we're gonna adopt more of a board style model that is multiple people with lots of little bites from each person instead of bigger bites from a few. And yeah, I'm excited about it. I've got a good amount of people saying yes. Following in the flipping Robb playbook, dude.
Well, I mean, plenty of other people have laid the playbook for me, but it is a good playbook.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important stuff. I mean, that's how can we focus on community building, community resiliency, and really local solutions.
Yes.
And really setting that foundation, being there for one another. I think, especially in a time of chaos and uncertainty, I feel like that's the one thing everyone seems to agree on. But I think, again, now's the time to really double down on that community building, community resiliency, and coming up with local solutions, helping your neighbors, helping your friends, and being there for people.
Yeah, I love that, man. Yeah. Nice. Good dude. You're a good dude.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Sorry to take you on a tangent, but
I love that.
Lose that train of thought as we were talking about community and all that.
Yeah, that's spot on, man. I mean, I love that you brought that up. And I mean, it's how I know you, is giving back to the community. Okay, so segue into so that's a foundational level of politics.
Sure.
What's the yes? What made you say yes to saying, let's get into this race for across the street, right? For District 4.
Yeah. So I think for me, I mean, obviously, dealing with a lot of these issues on the ground level, again, whether it's kind of neighborhood issues, there's you deal with crime and homelessness, you deal with all sorts of different things within the community.
Yeah.
And again, you interface with the city a ton, so it certainly is a bit of an outgrowth of that. And then, so on the other side of my experience, so my day job, I work at ASU.
Okay.
I'm the director of a research and development lab.
Okay.
I mean, it's all interdisciplinary. We have about 85 students. We pull from 25 different majors and disciplines, and I think it's 12 of the 16 colleges or so. But we are out of the academic loop. We're kind of an independent center, so we're able to work on all sorts of different projects, and really our mandate is come up with novel solutions to complex problems.
Nice.
And that's anything from sustainability to education to healthcare to space exploration. We've done stuff with NASA. We've done stuff with big companies. We've had spin outs. We've done a ton of different things. We're currently doing a project with the city of Phoenix, and we've done stuff with Phoenix Children's Hospital. We've done a bunch of different things, and ultimately, I think between everything that I've done, whether it's in the community or at ASU or really anything, it's been focused on two things, and it's building relationships and solving problems.
Okay.
And I think, especially in a local context, that's the most important thing. How do you bring people together and get stuff done for folks?
Right on.
So I think all of that, and then coupled with kind of timing and all that, it just seemed like it was worth it. I knew I'd regret it if I didn't at least give it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love that you're saying yes, dude. Like, it's big. Mm-hmm. Like, it's admirable. And I love that. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how to put that into words, that you're willing to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just very admirable.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you expecting to do? What's the most important thing that you see right now that needs to happen if you were to take that spot?
Yeah. I think a few things. One is really modernizing the way that the city operates and functions.
Okay.
And I think part of this is an outgrowth of the community work that I've done. I'm sure you've experienced this as a community leader too. I mean, oftentimes it feels like the onus is on the resident or the business owner or the constituent to navigate what could sometimes be a pretty clunky system.
Okay.
So I think streamlining some of those processes and who to go to, I think would be able to allow the city to provide better services for folks and be able to help people. Again, whether you want to start a business, you need to get a pothole fixed or whatever it might be. I think doing stuff like that. I think also, I mean, there are some things where we can leverage technology. Like there's a lot of manual processes across the board.
Okay.
And I think, again, coming from my ASU lens and a lot of our kind of almost consulting work that we've done, I mean, that's a big thing that would certainly move the needle to not only provide a set of tools for folks at the city to be able to do their job better, but also I think that would reflect in the city and the services and the constituent experience, so to speak.
Okay.
So I think that's a big one. I think reconnecting City Hall back to the communities. I think, I mean, don't get me wrong, Phoenix has had a really good run over the last bunch of years. I mean, it's great. TSMC's here, invested, Waymo, all the events. The Super Bowl Final Four is here this year. I think the NBA All-Star Game's here next year.
Yeah,
really
it's a lot coming.
Yeah, some really great stuff. But I think, again, this has been something that I've heard a lot from folks is, all that stuff's good, but there's quite a few layers between that and the ground level, and oftentimes people feel like they've either been forgotten or overlooked. And I think really reconnecting that, because that helps build trust in institutions, that helps open lines of communication to really start to move the needle and fully set a foundation to move the city forward.
Okay.
Because ultimately, I mean, I want to see Phoenix be the model city for the 21st century.
I love it.
And again, I think there's a lot of the variables there. I think it's a matter of bringing that all together, being strategic and being forward thinking.
So to your first point, you said that there are a lot of and the way that things are done, it's somewhat inefficient. But just summarizing that, what in that role can you really do about that, though? And the second part you mentioned, relationships and getting people to be seen.
Sure.
Totally get it. Like, that makes sense. But the first part, how do you make any change there? How do you make any, substantial change? What can you do in that role?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is working with the city staff and figuring out, hey, like, where are we at? Like, what can we do? I think really, and in some ways directing them, like, this is kind of a bit of a culture shift on how we're going to operate and drive things, rather than being, a lot of times it could be complaint driven or almost defensive. How can we be a little proactive about things?
Okay.
And again, that doesn't necessarily mean we need to throw everything on their plate. Like, these are people on a one-on-one level. Like, they're all good. They work hard, all that stuff. I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but how can we kind of reconfigure, again, whether it's systems, different workflows, work streams, all of that stuff.
Okay.
Again, with the ultimate goal of how are we serving Phoenicians better? So without getting into like nitty gritty, like one-off examples, I think those are big things. And I think really just sitting around the table and just be like, hey, we got to do, these are the pain points, and what are the keystones that we can uplift?
Okay.
So that we can start to stem the tide on things.
That makes sense. Like expediting the zoning process, maybe a little bit more.
Could be. Yeah. So that, I think, at least one other thing that always kind of pops up is like opening up City Hall a little more.
Okay. In what capacity? What do you mean?
So, like literally, like, there used to be a restaurant there, all
Okay.
that stuff. Like, I think that'd be great to do it. I get all the safety precautions and all that, but they've developed quite a home court advantage there, just getting into the building.
Right.
And again, there's got to be processes and stuff. But I think again, putting a coffee shop, a restaurant, maybe both, like that type of stuff, you start to get more of those relationships built through those, whether it's water cooler conversations or it's, hey, I'm meeting with this person on a zoning case that I have. Let me pop in and say hi to this person who's right down the hall or down the elevator or whatever that is, just to say hi, and having kind of that interaction.
Yeah.
I think really does help and move the needle. Because again, it's just fostering those relationships. And I think that for as much as Phoenix is a huge city, a lot of it does operate kind of small town like.
Yeah. They talk about some of the politicians in Washington that have had a much better time of being able to connect and get things done, have to be able to really be able to meet with people one-on-one and get and have those conversations, right?
Yeah.
And I think the technology does allow us to be a little more in our space, right? Versus having a conversation and just going, "What's up?"
Yeah, I'm a terrible millennial because I'm more of like, if I am on I'm a phone call person. Like, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Let's talk about this, rather than going back and forth email. Always 100 times out of 100 prefer in person. I just think you get so much more done in person. Like, us meeting once for an hour is going to do a lot more for not only our relationship, but whatever we're trying to get done. Than 6 months worth of emails and Zoom calls.
Yeah, super fair.
And I think that's just, I think maybe it's an old school mentality, but I think that is just super effective in just being like, hey, let's get here, let's figure out what we got to do, and let's get it done.
Let's go. Yeah. Love that. So series of questions that I had here.
Okay, yeah.
And a couple of them I think we've already kind of touched on. But so you kind of touched on what it looks like from somebody maybe wanting to start something community-wise. What should they be looking at? Okay, now take yourself back 2 years, not knowing what you were getting into, or were you already thinking about it 2 years ago?
I don't know, about 2 years ago. Maybe it was an idea, but it really over the last year and a half, maybe even close to 2 years.
What's the biggest takeaway that you've learned being in this campaign so far?
It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun.
How so?
I don't know. Maybe it's just my, the way I am, and it's basically kind of a scaling up of a lot of the stuff that I was doing. Like, I love talking with people, like having interesting conversations. You learn so much. You try to help people along the way.
That's you though. Yeah.
You really start to connect some dots. You get to connect with people that you wouldn't either think that you would, or that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
Which would just be like, it's would not have had those opportunities, or at least been open to it like that. But yeah, I think the people aspect of it, and just how fun. I mean, it's really just to be able to hear people's stories, how they got to where they're at, or why they started this business, or where they came from, and all of that. Like, it's inspiring and uplifting to hear that.
Yeah.
And like, you want to be there to help those people.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And you're the guy to do it, man.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. And Robb came out and supported Capstone Contributes, which we totally thank you for. That's awesome. Just showing up for the community.
You got quite an operation there going. That
I can't take credit. We got a great team. But yeah, it's been pretty well oiled. We're pivoting here in the next couple of years to see what the next opportunity looks like for us to be giving. So I'll cue you in when we know more.
Definitely. Yeah. Anytime I will be there. Yeah.
Nice, brother.
We should scale it throughout the whole city.
I think there's a lot of opportunity for business people to be paying more attention to some of these charities. I think that some of these charities can benefit from being with people that are more forward thinking and not just as excited about helping, right? But really thinking about it as a business. Because I think, like, in a couple of situations with some of those that we've worked with in the past, there have been some really, really big openings for potential and growth and helping more people, right? And it's like, it's getting some of these charities to the level of big thinking, like think bigger, right? Like, how do we get this bigger? How do we make this more impactful? Yeah. And I think being in the trenches, I get it, man. Like, being in the trenches and doing the work sometimes can feel overwhelming. It can feel like sometimes it feels like it's enough and feels like it's too much, right? So it's like, how do you scale it in a way that some of these charities then have a resource to go, how do we do this? And how do we give to more? Because it might tap more people, right? We do those videos because it reaches more people and lets more entrepreneurs know, wait, that's possible?
Yeah, they're doing this.
Like, how are they doing this, right? I
love it.
We don't do much with it, honestly. We raise the money and we host it and do some things. But for the most part, it being as well-oiled it is was all a help. Was all help now AZ is what they're called.
Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, Domri over there is awesome. There's her plug. Yeah, I got to give her a plug. She's amazing.
Of course. Yeah. Plug away.
Yeah. Cool. Here, let's see. When people walk away from meeting with you, what do you want them to be left with? Like, what's that thing that you want them to know about you?
I think probably authenticity. I'm just like anyone else, just a real person.
Okay.
And I want them to.
You are. Yeah.
But I mean that in I'm not trying to sell you anything.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to convince you of anything. Like, your experience is your experience, and we may not agree on everything. We might agree on a lot, but I want you to come away with someone like, that's someone that I trust. That's someone whose heart's in the right place. That's someone who's really trying and really putting in an effort. And I could be proud to support them.
Given that, okay, what do you think then? What's going to be, let's say, come next year, you're in this role. What is the hardest thing that you're going to have to deal with, or that you see right now? What's your biggest challenge that you foresee?
That's a good question. because my brain's
That
going.
wasn't on here.
No. That's good. Well, because my brain is going in like a couple of different directions. So like I'm thinking kind of like there are some like topical things.
Okay.
So I would say the light rail extension now has become like a very large discussion point. Scrap the CapEx thing, and it looks like Indian School is where they're looking to do it, and definitely want to connect West Phoenix and Maryvale to Central and downtown. But obviously we need to think through what the best way is for that, and how to do that, make sure we're not displacing small businesses and stuff like that.
Right.
There are other kind of topical issues like that. And then I think just like anything, when you're new, it's always easier looking on the outside than when you're in there.
Yeah.
So I imagine there'll be somewhat of a learning curve to figure out again internally, like what are the people you've got to work with to get X done. What do you need to do? Kind of the inner kind of personality game too. I mean, that's always a whenever you're in any new group, that's a dynamic that you need to do. And then just figuring out not spreading too thin and just being probably more focused. So I don't know if that necessarily answered your entire question.
No, it did. I think
it got my brain going in like 4 different directions.
No, I love it. I think the people part, I think, that's smart of you to be recognizing that, because it those of us that want to make change, we jump into something and we're overzealous and we go, I'm going to make all these improvements. I'm going to do all these things. And then you're like, well, wait a minute, I'm doing this for good, but it seems like that person over there is not on board, right? And I need that person to be on board, right?
Well, either that or we both like want good thing.
Well, of course,
but it's like, oh, okay,
it looks a little different. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that is also why I put so much of an emphasis on the relationship building piece, because it's whether it's on a community level, on a larger level, like that is what ultimately moves the needle on a lot of things.
Okay.
Is kind of that human to human interaction. And that's how you build community. That's how you build culture. That's how you build society. And that's how you actually build momentum to get things done, at least in my opinion and my experience too. Yeah.
It seems like this role seems like from an outsider looking in, and I haven't talked to anyone who's done it before specifically about this, but it seems like one of the hardest things is it seems like there's just going to be a lot of hard conversations.
Sure.
Right. And how do you feel about that? And what are your expectations of that as well?
Yeah, I would, before I get into the hard conversation, the other thing is just this is a very diverse district.
Yeah.
And it's very big too. So you've got over here in Miracle Mile, it's kind of more the eastern part of it. You've got through Midtown and Uptown Phoenix. And then you also have West Phoenix and Maryvale, and then the whole 19th Avenue, 27th Avenue, and all the way, I think it's some place that goes over to 61st Avenue. So it cuts across basically every demographic, every socioeconomic strata, every type of person you can think of. So obviously when you've got 250,000 people, that's a lot of stakeholders and a lot of opinions, and to be under an illusion that everyone's going to agree on everything all at the same time. And at some points, I imagine there would be some things that would be at odds, different communities within the. So I mean, those are the balancing acts. Those are the relationships. That's the kind of creative problem solving that it takes. And then to your point, I mean, it always would have. It would take conversations, whether hard or not. I think that's in the eye of the beholder. But I think being upfront and honest and transparent about things is always the best policy.
There you go.
Yeah.
This street, McDowell, it's been. I don't want to say that I've been told that there needs to be one champion in order for anything to really get done here. And we've got 2 different districts here. So we're not in 4, we're
4 and 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're in 8 and North is 4 and you're appointed over there, what's it going to take to still make things happen here on McDowell? Like what can get done? Like legit. And who can be the champion? Right? Like what does that look like? Does it have to be someone at your level, or does it have to be somebody boots on the ground? Does it have to be like, what's going to finally move down here? And what other districts or what other groups like ours have been successful where it's been split, right? That's all right.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
I think it probably takes both ground up and top down. Because I think you need the ground level support, and obviously there needs to be a focus from the top down.
How big of an issue do you think that is for us here? That there's two different districts.
I haven't thought about that enough to give you a definitive answer, but I imagine just like anything when it's split, it's hard to be unified in terms of a vision and what's moving forward. But again, to go back to the relationship piece, I mean, that's where you've got to get the offices to work together and bring the right people to the table and figure out, I mean, what's feasible, what can we do, and what are the levers or what are the problems we could solve. I think again, sometimes a big swooping change is what's needed and what's called for.
Okay.
But sometimes it's like, hey, I mean, we've got to bite-size this. We've got to try and do this and see what works, collect the data, this. I mean, you've got 5 different problem, and I'm just making this up, but it's like, okay, what are 1 or 2 that we could focus on right now? And then maybe by doing 1 or 2, it makes 3, 4, 5 that much easier down the line.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So we could get more trees. We could get more lighting.
Yeah, I think trees,
get
shading,
some speed bumps right up front.
Speed bump. Yeah, I mean, I think. I live.
Do you disagree to that? Did you disagree to that? Really, speed bumps? You okay with it?
Speed bumps. That might be tough, but what I do agree with you is slowing down traffic.
Okay.
And mitigating that. I think you see that a lot because I think environment drives behavior in a lot of senses.
Okay.
So when you have, I'm assuming there's, what is this, 5, 6 lanes of road?
Yeah, 6. And there's a middle, and then there's a 3 and 2. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, people are gonna navigate a roadway as if there is 6 lanes of road, which generally is some sort of a thoroughfare or highway even. So people will be speeding through, which hinders. I mean, especially here. I mean, you've got a lot of mom and pop small businesses. I mean, you want to slow down traffic.
Yeah.
So I think that for sure, to say nothing of the safety issues. Like obviously that's a huge safety concern for pedestrians, for bicyclists, for even other cars, with people speeding.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what the speed limit is. I'm assuming 40.
40. Yeah. 35 over there. Yeah.
35.
Yeah.
People probably go 45.
Yeah.
50. Yeah. So it's hard to see what's going on. And then it almost, it makes all of these places here like a single, it's basically like a single shot, because it's like, okay, I'm going to go to Froth, and you basically have to like preemptively plan to go there.
Yeah.
And that's like, okay, I'm going there, and then I'll go to wherever I need to go to.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whereas I think when you can get some more visibility,
okay,
again, not only is it helpful for safety and road and pedestrian safety, but it's an economic development driver too.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, we could see a lot of potential in this area. I mean, it's gotten so much better. Like it's really
absolutely
changing a lot, but at the same time, there's still a lot of opportunity for more walkability.
That's been a lot of work from you, the rest of the merchants, the Coronado, the neighbors there, people over the years that have really believed in this area. And there's pockets of and I mean, I think where I live in Melrose, I mean, that's a really good example of a place that 20, 25 years ago, before I was there, I mean, it was not the greatest place to be. It wasn't what it is now. Now it's a fairly recognizable brand.
Yeah.
People go there. It's a destination.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of time and effort, and it's not all perfect, and there's still progress to be made and things to do and all that. But I think there are different areas and pockets. Miracle Mile is a huge shining example of that.
Yeah.
I think even along 19th Avenue, there's pockets where like it's just gleaning with potential. 27th Avenue too. I mean, they've got a big issue with prostitution and drugs over there. So part of that's how do you clean that up, but then how do you get investment? How do you support that local ecosystem? And it takes bringing a diverse set of stakeholders to the table so that people have that ownership, that it's your community. Like you are a part of this.
Yes.
Whether it goes one way or the other, it's going to be in at least some small part to your effort or lack thereof.
Totally. I don't disagree with you. Yeah, I think everyone's stepping up and recognizing that they can do something is helpful, especially on this level. Like, it's not hard to make an impact.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of it. It's like, how can how can the city help empower and build a platform for, obviously there's got to be some guidelines and some folks in the loop, but it's like, how can we empower communities to really build up and develop as they see fit?
Yeah.
Which makes sense with strategic vision of the city and all of that.
Right on. Rob, dude, I really appreciate you coming out today. I think this has been helpful. Is there anything else that you would want to share? I mean, if we put this out and it was like, oh my gosh, what's the one thing that we didn't talk about that you would love to share in 5 minutes?
Yeah, I would say definitely follow us, socials, Robb, ROBB, so it's Robb with 2 B's, 4, the number 4, PHX. So if you just search that on socials, you should be able to find us.
For PHX. Nice.
Our most active website is also Robb for phx.com. Check that out. We'll be doing a whole lot more of events, all that stuff. And then also, please reach out. I do not know everything, and I do not have a monopoly on good ideas. Like, I want to hear from you. I want to hear your stories. What are your issues? What do you care about? As we try to work to move the city forward. One other thing that we didn't talk about a ton, that I was going to get to, when you something along the lines you asked me about, like, what are some of the major issues? One of the things that I think would be a huge focus of mine, because it has been in community work and even some of the stuff that we're doing at ASU, but it's homelessness. I think that's something that obviously we're not unique in this as a city, and there's some great people working at city. There's Homeless Solutions, Phoenix Cares, there's some other nonprofits and service providers. But the reality of the situation is, for a lot of the residents and neighborhoods, but even more so the business owners, they are right on the front lines of this. And
yes.
To most of them, and you could actually probably speak as good or better than I could on this situation, but the situation on the ground has either stayed the same or even gotten a little worse in a lot of cases. And I think that's something I hear district wide, and we really need to start to really focus in on that.
Yeah.
Because we need to get those folks the help that they need. But it's become a bit of a quality of life issue for a lot of folks.
Yes.
And we need to put our weight.
And it is, and it's challenging. And as a business owner, as a local stakeholder, right? It's like, what I see that we could do a better job of is vacancy. Like, I'm doing my best to eliminating some vacancy that we have right now. And because it's the flipping a tractor, dude. Like,
100%.
I had to go and invest in gear to pick stuff up. And like, legit, it's by the door in there. You'll see it in there. It's like, I got my whole gear with my gloves, and it's almost every morning. And you just can't keep up with it. And then I will give the city of Phoenix some credit in that we have followed the process. We have filed, what's the no trespassing?
Authority to arrest.
Yes. So we have authority to arrest on that particular premises. And the city of Phoenix, the police do show up consistently. They show up quick enough, right? Especially when something is seeming like it's about to go down. So that's been helpful.
Good.
But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know what the solution is, man. That's why I didn't even bring it up, because it's like, I don't know.
Well, there's probably a bunch of different ways to tackle it. But the vacant properties, I think you really hit the nail on the head, because they are magnets for, whether it's encampments, drug use, all the things that people don't want to see. Disincentivizes investment in the surrounding community. It makes neighborhoods feel less safe. It hinders small business as well that are surrounding that area. And to top it all off, it's a drain on the system. It's a disproportionate amount of the calls for service, whether it is PD, fire department, neighborhood services, homeless services, whatever. And I'm all for property rights, but in some cases, I know, at least by me up in Melrose, because we've dealt with this the last few years, I'm sure I know it's the case here. And as you go further west in the city, it's definitely the case too, where some cases these things have been vacant for 5, 10 plus years. And I don't even want to know what some of these things look on the inside, but it really is not only an eyesore,
Yeah.
and a symbol of a like not great thing
Yeah.
in
Blight. Yeah.
yes, in a city, in a community, but it does attract all these things. So I mean that's something that I would love to really hone in on is how can we activate these spaces? How can we work with these property owners? Which sometimes it is just I mean, let's have a conversation. What's it going to take for you to either lease or sell, or how can we get creative about how we fill it, or if we need to put a little bit of pressure on them, whether that's fines or whatever. I don't have that fully fleshed out,
Yeah.
but I think applying some pressure because it a lot of times these things do become such a detriment to the community,
Mm-hmm.
and again, like I said, a drain on the system. So and if we are able to kind of move the needle and activate a lot of these spaces, maybe there's a creative solution where we can incubate some community-based businesses or folks that are, I don't know, want to have a donut shop but can't afford 10,000 square feet, but they could afford 1,500 square feet
Yeah.
in a particular vending spot in a particular location. And not only does that, again, provide ownership within a community for folks,
Mm-hmm.
it's an economic development driver, at least potentially. It could be more tax revenue for the city.
Yeah.
But it's the number one thing we can do for public safety is activate these spaces, get more eyes on the streets, get more activity.
Yes. So what programs I should know this, but this is making me think about this. So business related, City of Phoenix grants for businesses, businesses that maybe qualify for a particular, like they show promise, whatever, however we figure out what promise would look like.
Sure.
Qualifying for some sort of storefront improvement that then could be used as credit to taking on a lease, not necessarily giving that to the owners of buildings, but more so to the small business owners who are going to be occupying those spaces. So the incentive is to them. And then there be some sort of setup for owners of space that have it.
Yeah.
There could be a fast track to getting things done. Zoning. I mean, that's what Miracle Mile has experienced more than. Yep. If there's one thing that I would look back on this last 15 years of being here, pretty much is seeing. Well, it's not been 15. It's been. I'm thinking about that. It's been 11. 12 years. So looking at the last 12 years, it's like the zoning is absolutely terrible for small businesses because we're just trying to get something done in the business, spend money on hiring somebody new instead of jumping through all these very, very, very expensive hoops that could potentially put someone like me out of business because I don't have the resources for it. It's happened multiple times on the mile, right? And I mean, it's not theory. It is legit. We've had a couple of different businesses who could not see their vision all the way to the end because they were held up with red tape and just, maybe things they could have foreseen. However, at the end of the day, when people have this hope and dream that they're going to launch this amazing business, they've got this amazing idea and they've got the resources for it, they buy a building and then all of a sudden it's like, sorry, like that doesn't even work. And some of the decisions that were made just took so long that it was cost prohibitive for those businesses to stay afloat. So, I mean, that's something that I think, yeah, dude, when you get into that spot, we're going to tackle them by storm. Yeah.
I mean, I think to your point, and I think I mentioned it earlier, I mean, there's, again, guidelines, process, like those are important things to have, but always be open to improving them. I think the city should be in the business of how do we support people who are building things? And again, it could be a building, it could be a business, it could be a family, it could be a dream, it could be an opportunity for others.
Yes.
It could be a space, it could be themselves. I mean, I think that, I said earlier, I'd like to see Phoenix be the model city for the 21st century. And I think part of that is like, we do need to be a city that builds. And again, part of that, yes, we do need to build things physically, need a diverse supply of housing for folks so people can stay here and become rooted in the community. We need people that want to build small businesses. I mean, whether that's a donut shop or a coffee shop or a big tech company,
Yeah.
anything in between there. I mean, the city should be partners, and not to say that they're not, because I think there's some good people and they're doing some good stuff, but we should be constantly looking at how we can improve so that we can do that. And when there are these cases where people aren't able to fulfill their dream, what's the flexibility? What are the opportunities? How can we think creative and maybe laterally about how we can do this? And then maybe that's how you formulate a new process or new guidelines. I mean, it's constant feedback loops, and maybe that's even part of it. Is how do we increase the speed of these feedback loops?
That's a good one.
Because by the time it gets to them, because there's a lot of times that it's you may be dealing with something here, you may be talking to people here, you may be telling me, but by the time it gets to somebody who may have a decision-making power, might be able to do something, it's either too late or it's been such a game of telephone that they're like, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe part of this is how do we improve the feedback loop so it's getting that information and data is getting back to the right people so that we are able to make decisions, we are able to help people, we are able to solve problems.
Love it. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right on. Rob, thanks for being here, man.
No, thank you. Yeah, I'd love
dope.
to do this again. Yeah. We could talk for hours.
Yeah, totally. I think as you go through this, maybe I get you back in like 6 months, because I'd love to get feedback on what this experience has been like for you. For those of the people here in the community who want to get into some sort of community service politics, like what does that look like? And how could people continue down that path?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, I think everyone, the more folks who get involved in their community, and don't bite off more than you could chew. Just do what you can with what you have, with where you're at right now. You could take over the world tomorrow, but start where you're at. And sometimes it is just one conversation at a time. So I appreciate the invite and appreciate this opportunity. And I know there'll be plenty more from here, brother.
Heck yeah. Thanks, man.
Cool.
Solid.